Hello everyone, welcome back in this episode of Bitcoin Trade here. Let me see if I can get this to focus a little bit better. How's that? Alright, looks good. So here's an article on local Bitcoin's infrastructure attacked. Bitcoins and user data safe. So if anybody trades on local Bitcoins, you probably experienced something strange over the weekend. This is a weekend edition of Bitcoin Trade, and here's the site. You go on localbitcoins.com and that's what comes up. It kind of gives you a little detail what happened. So if you don't know what happened, basically it looks like their site was hijacked for about 40 minutes, and what were they doing? What were they looking for? If they weren't looking for Bitcoins, were they looking for somebody? I don't know. So anyways, kind of disrupted some trading. I don't know if it had any effect on the market so far. So let's go to a chart analysis and see what happened. All right. Okay, so there it is, and it happened around this time frame, right around here. And you can see it's gone down a little. Excuse me. So, but nothing major. It wasn't like a collapse or implosion or an attack on the whole system. It just seemed kind of strange. It was just an attack on local Bitcoins, and nothing was apparently taken out. We won't. That's the official statement, but until the site gets up and running again, and I'm able to check if my Bitcoins are still there or not, I won't know. But there it is. Here, attacker gained root access of server for 40 minutes, right here, before the attacker was kicked out. And so 40 minutes of what were they doing? What were they looking for? And why localbitcoins.com of all the other places? I don't know. Really strange. Really, really strange. So, alright, so let's go on to Bitsy. Of course, I restarted my computer, so these are all new lines, but you kind of know where I got them. And it's amazing how, hindsight, it's all 2020. Hindsight in the past, it all makes sense now. But while you're doing it, while you're in this trade, it seems like anything can happen. Literally, kind of amazing. So this is Bitsy. Nothing really fancy going on here. It's showing below this support line, but then again, from here to here, it looks like another support as well. And Bitsy has a different read sometimes, but there you go. If I put it there, so it seems more of a range from here to here, or maybe even from here to here, versus what I have here as far as lines. But if you know where I got these lines, they kind of do make sense. So let's go on to Bitfin, and they all kind of gone down in price following this channel. So you can follow the tops of here and wait for a breakout, or you can put your buy orders in, your limit orders to buy. Where it goes, I don't know. But you always got to be prepared to play one or the other, buying down or buying at a breakout. Now sometimes you can short, so you can sell going down, right, or sell breaking out, one or the other. There's different ways to play a short. So but I'm long in Bitcoin, so I'm not long in dollars. So what you're doing is, when you're shorting, you're longing the dollar, especially if you want a US dollar Bitcoin pair. So anyways, let's go on to Coinbase, and it's following this channel right here, just kind of this channel until it needs to break out. Probably hit up it here again in range, but it looks like it's sideways for a while, and I've been calling that. Now I'm not sure how long it's going to be sideways because there's a lot of things going on, and let me point out to some articles here. I'm refreshing the article, so excuse me. Making sure everything's alright. Okay. So on CoinDesk, I'm surprised they must be taking the weekend off because they don't have much going on. And they got little bits of this and that, and that's about it. But on the other hand, Coin Report actually reported some really good stuff here. And another thing is we're going dark again. Bitcoins is going dark, and you know, it is what it is. People want to do whatever they want to do with it. So, and then it actually has a article about the local Bitcoin's attack. So they're really staying on top of some of this stuff. I know somebody's over there paying attention, and some other things. And really good articles. I've read some of them, and it's always good to read up on these articles here. Different sources as much as you can. But another thing I wanted to point out, and sorry if I'm going back to some weird things and weird theories, but you just can't. I can't stop talking about them because I'm literally sometimes compelled to do so. But as you know from my last episode, I talked about I see a lot of stars, and you know, in Texas being the lone star state, you know, and their symbol for that star is a 5-pointed star. You know, I see that a lot all over the place when I'm in Texas, when I'm in Houston, right? So I made a point of trying to find some kind of star. If you haven't seen my previous episode, I recommend watching the episode before this. Looking for a star, and I had a feeling, or a compelled feeling, or reason to look for a star in Washington, D.C., and I believe I showed it to you. Well, as I'm going through, I'm finding other stars. So anything with a star, I mean, it has to be 5 points. Can't be 6, can't be 7, can't be 3. It has to be 5. And if you ask me why, I don't know. But like I said, the mysterious ways of the invisible hand, it just works. Don't ask me why, it just works. And I don't know how to explain it. Okay, but I'm reading the articles. And I see another article here, and you see right there, see that star, the circle and the star. Well, that's not. Well, I'll click on it. Okay, so you can kind of see. Now this is an article, and it's a Wisconsin State Journal, and why they have a star here, you know, I don't know. But anyway, there it is. So I said, wow, this has got to be the work of the invisible hand again. Maybe, I'm not sure. So I read it, and it does relate to Bitcoin in some way, and apparently, now I don't know if this is big or not, or if this means anything, but I'd sure like to maybe keep track of this. But, well, let me see here. Here's the article. Okay, so you all see it for yourself. And I don't know if it shows any day or not, but anyways, apparently someone made a Bitcoin contribution to a candidate 0.2213 Bitcoin transaction to a candidate. Turns out the candidate couldn't accept it for whatever reason in that state, so they had to return it. So that's the gist of the story for the most part. Whether it was legal or illegal, not too sure. I've got the copy of some guidelines, but again, that's not the final. I may have to talk to more professionals to see what if this really happens. Can someone accept it? Does this have to be converted into cash in order to have a candidate accept contribution? So this is very interesting. Now, from what I read, as a PAC, you couldn't really do this either. But what you can do is someone like the tech-savvy supporter could have given this to a PAC. The PAC would have converted it to legal tender immediately, at least 10 days or something like that. Would have used that money to contribute, or I don't know, whatever, and reinvested back into Bitcoin, I guess. I'm not sure. And anyways, there's a lot of things that could have been done if it was a PAC existed. And but the thing is, this supporter wouldn't have no control of the PAC. He'd just be giving his Bitcoin to a PAC. Supposedly they would support that idea, that agenda, or something. And how does this relate to Washington, D.C.? I don't know. But I guess I'm compelled in some way to show it. Read the article. It's an interesting article. I like to see what happens to this candidate. The reason why I want to see what happens is so he had to return the Bitcoin. He couldn't accept it. Now I don't know the situation here in Wisconsin or what's going on, but I'd like to see if this guy wins or loses, or if the other candidate who's running against him wins or loses. Because I want to see what effects accepting or rejecting Bitcoin has, if it does at all have any effect on the outcome of this, whatever this thing is. I don't know if it's let me see, an attempt to make Wisconsin campaign finance history this week, quickly short-circuited. I don't know, what are they running for here? I'm kind of curious. Well, I don't know what the guy's running for. All I know is that someone gave a campaign contribution that's supported directly to seems like the candidate, and they had to return it because it was not considered, it was considered illegal to do that. They have to convert their Bitcoins to money. So a couple issues is brought up with this is, let's say the candidate doesn't know anything about Bitcoins, like what happened here. I guess maybe he did. In either case, Bitcoins have to be converted to legal tender in order to make a campaign contribution. So is there a market for Bitcoins? I think there is, especially when it comes to campaign financing is my point. So again, is it the invisible hand? I don't know. I'm not sure if this is ever going to be brought up ever again, but maybe the news will provide me that information. Someone will follow this, and let's see what happens. If this guy wins or this guy loses, what's going on? I mean, something's happening. I don't know what, but something. So, anyways, that's it for that. I wonder what else is there to talk about. Hold on. Okay. So no, there's not much else, but that this is the weekend. If you ask me the best time to trade, and that's if you're asking me, probably, maybe you are, maybe you're not, I'm not sure. But I like trading on the weekends because it seems to be less volatile. The movements seem to be more slower. The volumes are less. And also, if you look at at one point between Bitstamp, BitC, and Bitfin and Coinbase, okay, the charts that I really look at, they were almost all the same price at one point, which is pretty darn amazing. And I stated this before, that is the best time to buy or sell, depending on what you're doing. But the fact that all the indices here, all of them for Bitcoin, right? US dollar, Bitcoin, they're all different right now, but at one point they're really close to the same. That's the best time I buy at all of them. And then, you know, I typically have an idea that BitC will be the lowest. Coinbase is usually the highest. See, right now it's 434 versus 433 or 430. And then Bitstamp and Bitfin kind of in between. You know, they interchange once in a while, but you know, if you know anything about Bitfin and how they operate, they're somewhat tied to Bitstamp. I'm not sure how and what way, but or maybe I'm wrong. I know Coinbase is also kind of tied into that, so but the fact is they're all about the same price, and that is the best time for me to either buy. I'm going long in Bitcoin, so I buy into Bitcoin, and in some cases it depends. But if you're into money or fiat currency, that is the best time to sell, because you'll get the equal value of fiat currency in all the exchanges. And then when they move again, depending on what they do, either move up or move down, you can take advantage on, I guess, on that arbitrage. And I guess that's one way to do arbitrage through the exchange. But that's only if you're actually going to be trading it. If you're trying to perform arbitrage just for the sake of making the difference, it's a little bit tougher, because all the fees and the time it takes to send one Bitcoin to another exchange, you know, the price still moves around. And so doing arbitrage through the exchange right now, like buying supposedly at BitC, you gotta remember why it's low, because to fund it costs more, and to take it out costs more. And so that's why it's a little bit lower. And you know, if you're thinking like buy BitC and then load it up to Coinbase and sell out, you know, Coinbase has their fees too. So let's take a look at that. So let's take a look at arbitrage for a little while. People talk about it like it's really that easy. It's not. So here's the price. That's if you sold it, that's what you would get, 129. So if you look at the price of BitC, you make $1, if that. And that's only if the price changed right now. If you did it right now, somehow magically you can take a Bitcoin out of BitC and then within instantaneously have something in Coinbase, move it to Coinbase. That's possible. I mean, it's not impossible, but you can do that if you already have Bitcoins on Coinbase. On Coinbase. So what you're doing is you're buying, and then you already have coins. But even then, when you do that, it doesn't quite work out. I mean, all that for $1, so you would have to do it a gazillion times to really make a gazillion dollars. It's too time consuming. There is a risk in doing that. So I don't know. I don't see how you can do arbitrage through the exchange. It just doesn't work out that way. But what I do like to do, and it's not, it is arbitrage, but it's not like the way people think, is when the prices are all the same, that's when I like to buy Bitcoins in all the exchanges. And then as the price changes, like it does now, um, what I do is I take advantage of the difference in the price when it changes like this. That way I have Bitcoins on all the exchanges. And then I can perform arbitrage because now the price has moved far enough to do it, theoretically, if that makes sense. But trying to get your money and convert it into cash, by the time all the fees and everything and the time it takes to move your Bitcoins, do that, it doesn't really work out. So arbitrage in that sense is overblown. So you don't really perform arbitrage in the digital world. You have to perform in reality where you dictate the price of whatever your Bitcoins can demand. So for example, this scenario, right? Well, a lot of people have their Bitcoins now locked up for I don't know how long. It says 24 hours. We'll see what happens, but what if it doesn't? What if it's a week? So you're a whole week without your Bitcoins. Now this is going to be tough for some people because they really rely a lot on their Bitcoins through local Bitcoins. Just the manner of how it's traded, and it is a trade, okay? So this is a trading site. So there is trading going on, and when I look at some of the limits people have, like a minimum and a maximum, and I see them on there, some of these people have quite a bit of Bitcoins on there. And for it to be not available, I know some people are sweating bullets. Or they need to find another source of Bitcoins because they still need to do whatever they need to do. They need to trade, they need to market, they need to buy things, sell things, whatever. So this is when I guess you can, if you have a way to communicate to other traders and you can still trade, okay, you can still trade without local Bitcoins. It's just a little bit more, how can I say this, you're gonna have to have a little bit more faith and a little bit of trust, and so you would have to have a lot of blind faith and trust, because the escrow service is not available right now, and you have to find either another escrow service that's totally outside of this, and either way you would still be what I call in a blind transaction anyway. So if you're able to still trade, good for you. If you aren't and you're kind of stuck, you kind of have to be dead in the water for a little bit. But if you're lucky enough to find someone who you can still trade with, and you don't need an escrow to do this, either face to face, whatever you need to do. I mean, I'm exploring a lot of different ways you can trade this thing. You can mail your cash. You can, it's possible to write a check. You just have to wait till it clears. It's possible to wait for a wire. You just have to wait till it clears. There's a way to do it and not get burned. A private escrow, or if there's an escrow company outside of Bitcoins that will, hold on to that Bitcoin and hold on to that money until everyone's okay, then they help do the exchange. There's a whole industry, finance industry that can be created around Bitcoin that already exists. You just have to incorporate it into your own business. So even though this happened, it hasn't stopped. It really hasn't stopped me. It's more of an inconvenience because I do use the prices on local Bitcoins that I set as a marker for setting prices. But now that this is gone, I mean, you can literally just almost demand anything you want because it's getting that much harder to get Bitcoins. I think there's somebody out there who doesn't want you to get Bitcoins. So, anyways, I'm sorry if I took so long to say that, but let's just look at the charts one more time and see what might happen. So, on Bitstamp, I mean, this is the line. Anything below that, you're looking more going down. But I've been saying it's going to probably range, and it pretty much did. And I think it's just ranging for the most part. Same thing, very similar. Very similar. Oh yeah, let's take a look at this now. Now this is showing something a little different. This is 5-day on a weighted average, and okay. So one of the things I look for when obviously it's going down because when you look at it bouncing up, it bounces up and then bounces up, and then when it turns over, it bounces down, and then like it's doing now, bouncing down. But when I see a lot of bouncing on this, it instead of being a wide band and being a continuous wide band going down, I see it heading up as an attempt to break up and to break up. Eventually, it's going to break up when you see these happening so often. It's a ranging kind of price movement. Because if it was a really bad downtrend, I'd see I see a gap in here that's bigger and it's more consistent going down. Here I see it just, trying to break out. So there's some movement here, some range movement, and I think that's what's going on. And I know I'm looking at Bitfin, but for the most part, that's what all the charts are very similar. Anyways, I hope this helps. A lot of things. This is just the weekend. This is just Saturday night. I mean, I still got Sunday night to deal with, and Sundays have a whole different kind of trades because there is no banks that are open. But there's always these money transfers that you can do. So you can do those type of trades. You can carry those trades over as well to the next day. You can do options on those trades where if you do it right, someone can load into a bank account or send you funds, and basically there's a time and period in which you can just wait, and they can strike at any time, or after a certain amount of time, after a certain amount of time passes, you can strike at any time. Alright? And so there's option trades on these where you can agree to these before you do a trade. Like, for example, like I mentioned on the option trade, someone just sends you the fund or just puts money in your account. Now if you're running it as a business account, you should just see it, right? So you agree, like you'll give it a day, 24 hours. This person can strike as long as they can contact you. They can strike at a price. Or they could tell you when to strike at a price. So you can kind of play it that way. You can do a trade that way. Or, sometimes the sender of the funds, especially on a money transfer, the sender on the funds is available, but you as the receiver, you're not available. All the places are closed, so you have to wait till the next day, and then you pick up the funds, and then you would strike at a price. So that's another kind of carryover trade. So it's already predetermined that whenever the funds are picked up, you can strike at a price. Lots and lots of, it is whatever you want it to be. You can be as creative. There's many ways to trade Bitcoin. You don't always have to push the buy button and the sell button to do it. You can really start getting um, creative, and also have fun in how you want to trade. So, um, well, anyways, that's all. That's for another episode. I just want to go over this here real quick. Feel free to like, dislike, leave a comment. Also, video response. Till next time, stay tuned.